Hello, this is Sergeant Nunez, and I decided to stick with the theme Ready for Life for this quarter for Transformational Tuesday and add a little bit of love. So, ready for life, ready for love. So, what am I going to cover? I'm going to cover what our wants and needs are and how we communicate those. And then I'm going to talk about a love tank. We all have a love tank, but what is a love tank? And then we're going to go over the 5 love languages, which include physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, and gifts. So with that being said, let's go ahead and begin with our wants and needs. So how do we communicate our wants and needs? Do we communicate them directly by telling others what we want and what we need? Or do we simply assume because they care for us or even love us that they will automatically know? What effect does this have on our relationships? Do we use active listening when others are talking? Do we treat others how we want to be treated, or do we treat others how they would like to be treated? I think it's respectful to treat others as we would like to be treated, but then I think that that's also missing something because we don't really know what they want if we're assuming they want to be treated how we want to be treated. So we need to do a little self-reflection. So let's reflect on our past relationships. Because I definitely have reflected on my past relationships in learning about the 5 love languages. Most of my relationships have not lasted long or have ended on bad terms. The common denominator there, it's me. So what's going on with me? Well, I've done some self-reflection and I've discovered some things about myself that have helped me to be a better friend and a better mother, and hopefully one day a better partner. So after doing some self-reflection, I did notice that I needed to put in some work. And it does take work in working on the relationships in our lives. So first, I would like to talk about the love tank. What is our love tank? So the need to feel love is a primary emotional need. We as humans need certain basic emotional needs to be emotionally stable, such as love and affection. Do we feel like we belong? Do we feel wanted by others? The love tank is an emotional tank that is waiting to be filled with love. So how can you fill your emotional love tank? So you need to find people who understand your love language. Explain to them what it is that you want and what you need. Do not demand things or belittle others if they're not speaking your love language. They might not know what you want and need. So again, don't assume. How can you fill others' love tank? By understanding the 5 love languages and using them to fill the tanks of those around you. You can do this in your personal life and in your workplace, as long as you're appropriate. So let's talk a little bit more about this love tank. When we're not getting what we want and what we need emotionally from others, according to the love language that we primarily speak, our love tank could start feeling a little empty. At that point, we could start to feel very disconnected from others, not wanting to socialize, that kind of thing. So being able to communicate with others and let them know what we want and need will help us fill our love tank. So I know I keep talking about these 5 love languages and knowing and being able to know what others are around you and what your love language is. So let's take a look at them. So let's start off with physical touch. So this is a way of communicating emotional love. You can do this by holding hands, kissing, hugging, embracing, giving back rubs. Without doing these kinds of things with the people that you love, your partner, maybe your children, they might feel unloved. So the best way to know how to use this love language, if this is not your primary love language, is get with your partner and ask them what they like. Get a feel for what they like for physical touch. Do they like hand holding? Do they like hugging? Do they like kissing? What kind of things do they like? So the next love language that we're going to talk about is act of service. So the person who speaks this love language likes when others do acts of service for them, like doing the dishes, vacuuming, dealing with insurance company. If you have something maybe happen to your car, they do that for you. They probably really like that. Taking out the trash or making dinner. So in doing those things for your partner as a genuine act of service, the other person will feel loved. So this is the love language that speaks the loudest to me. So when others do things for me without asking, it just makes me feel really good inside. It makes me feel loved. The examples I had were like when I'm at work and others offered to get me coffee, or when they listen to me when I'm talking about things, and they bring something to me. I'm not really into gifts. I don't really care about material things, but the fact that someone would get something for me that I spoke about previously and forgot about the conversation, it speaks volumes. I also like when someone holds the door for me or helps me clean up a mess or really just genuinely helps me with anything. So people who speak this love language, they really like acts of service. When you do something for that other person out of love or just out of being a genuine good friend or coworker to that person, it definitely will make them feel loved. So I kind of talked about this a little bit. Gifts is the next one. So gifts are visual symbols of love. As children, we give gifts to our parents. As adults, some of us will have this as a primary love language. Giving gifts are seen as expressions of love. A person with this love language accepts all gifts of many kinds. It doesn't really matter the price or if the gift is homemade. If you're out and walking around and you see a beautiful flower and you bring that to your partner, or a pretty rock, or maybe a feather or something, your partner will definitely appreciate it. Something that you could do if you're not sure about giving gifts, if someone has this primary love language, is to make a list of things that your partner or your friend has expressed interest in receiving throughout the years. That will help you get a frame of reference for what kind of gifts they would like to receive. So the next love language is quality time. So this is taking the time to spend with other people, giving someone your undivided attention, having deep conversations, looking at each other, taking a walk, going out to eat, and looking at each other while speaking. When you're spending quality time, try to avoid things that are distracting when spending that time with others. Be genuine when you are together. Do something the other person wants to do. Be creative if you don't have a lot of time during the day to try to spend a little bit of time with them. The last love language I'm going to talk about is the words of affirmation. So these are words that use to build up the other person. So verbally affirming each other. Verbal compliments are powerful communicators of love. You can use straightforward, simple statements of affirmation. Some examples are, I really like how you're always on time. I feel like I can count on you. You look really good in that dress or suit. I really appreciate the effort that you put into work. You can also use encouraging words to help inspire the other person. Strongly suggest not to use statements that will put the other people down, such as demands. So don't demand people to do things. Use requests instead. That'll go over a lot smoothly. So that's a brief summary of all of the 5 love languages. So now it's time to put in the work. So how are you going to use the 5 love languages effectively? First off, know what your love language is. So you can take the 5 love language tests online. You can also self-reflect on what types of things you typically ask for from your partner or your friends. For instance, if you're constantly asking for help with things around the house, your love language might be acts of service. If you want hugs or a back rub, maybe your love language is physical touch. You can also reflect about things that have happened to you in the past that has been really hurtful or that has really upset you. For myself, again, I think back to things in my past relationship that really stood out. In most situations, it definitely circled around the acts of service and the lack thereof. So once you've identified your love language, just know how to express your love language, the wants and needs to those around you. Ensure that you're using good communication techniques when interacting with each other. And then once you're able to express your love language, make sure you try to find out what love languages others speak around you. I know that some of us have done this in the office, and we kind of made light of it, but I think that it's very good to kind of reach out to other people and try to figure out what their love language is. How can we appreciate each other in the work center, and then take that appreciation home to our personal lives. That's all I have for you. If you have any more questions or want to know any more information, just come get with me and I can talk to you more about the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. It's an Audible book that I read if you're interested in reading more. Thank you.